5. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands. Item C, which is public comments, and we do offer both in-person and virtual public comment options. We always defer to in-person. First, we do not have anybody with us this evening, so we'll move right on to virtual comment. If you are interested in speaking, I don't know if we have anybody.
Not tonight.
Not tonight, so I won't go to you. So we will move right on to minutes. Could I have a motion to approve the attached February 21st, 2024 minutes?
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Item E, correspondence received 2/16/2024 to 3/18/2024. We didn't have anything included, but I will certainly mention, as I normally do, that we do appreciate comments, questions, thoughts from the community that you can certainly submit in our contact form on our homepage of our website. So we really do ask people to use that feature. And again, anything you might be interested in learning more about, we're happy to provide answers on those. So please continue to use that to ask questions. We'll move right on to reports. So first up is chair report. The only thing I'm going to mention is just as we look a little bit closer to our agenda, into our agenda for tonight, you'll notice obviously in our new business section, we have change orders that we've got that we're going to actually review tonight and vote on. And then in other business, we also have item H2, which is potential change orders. So I do want to just a quick note in teeing that up. Russ is going to actually lead us through a conversation a little bit later on this, but based on where we are in the project, and as we progress, as we get closer to our completion, we're going to be starting to talk a little bit more about some other opportunities that I think we need to get some more details on, try to get maybe, next steps. These are probably going to be larger items that we want to maybe consider as a building committee, and how we could potentially fit those into the overall scope of the project moving forward. So just a little bit of a different conversation. It has everything to do with where we are, and both as far as the timeline is concerned, as also where we are from a financial perspective. So more to come on that. I think it's obviously going to be a great discussion for us. So just wanted to make sure everybody's clear on the distinctions. All right, so why don't we move right on to town council liaison reports. Sarah, yep.
Hi, council completed our budget workshops last week, and next up will be the public hearing on the town council's recommended budget on April 1st. So a lot getting done.
Any questions for Sarah? Anything specific? All right, we will go right on to Board of Education liaison reports. So we'll move on from that one. 1928 building committee liaison report.
Okay, thanks, Greg. The committee met on March 12th, and the most significant development from our project perspective is that the town planning and zoning unanimously approved the project. So we're in good shape with that. Moving forward, in terms of just, our ultimate goal in the next month or so is moving forward with construction documents and value engineering those towards the end of April. There was a review of the roof of the 1928 building. It's in great condition, so we're gonna save some money there, hopefully. And everything else is moving along. I would point out that the brick buying donation piece of the project is live now, so you can go to the website, 1928 building website, and there's two options: a 4x4 brick for $100, or 4x8, and then an 8x8, $100 and $200, and encourage everybody to donate money by buying a brick. And that's about it.
I know I received my newsletter.
Yeah, you got the newsletter, that's right.
So, because I thought it was great information,
Yeah.
just to kind of get a recap as well as the QR code in the back.
QR, yeah.
Exactly for that break time, so. Good to know. All right, any other questions for Fritz on that?
And our next meeting will be the 9th, I think you just said that.
All right, great. All right, we'll go right on to our architect report.
Okay, thank you. These are actually getting harder and harder to do because there's so many other people actively doing the work on the site. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder. Just run through a brief rundown. I'm happy to go into it in more detail or defer to some of our other reports. Construction is afoot and proceeding well. I will say that yesterday I was in the building in the main cafeteria lounge space, and they had stripped some of the plywood sheathing off as they were installing the skylights, and it was a little bit like that first crocus or daffodil that pops up in spring. It's a real good indication of how that thing's really going to come to life this spring once all the skylights are installed. So, you know, don't need to rush out there now, but I would say that as soon as all the skylights are open along the concourse and the cafeteria, that building will really be transformed as it gets ready for students. We proceeded with reissuing some of the FF&E packages. Those remaining packages that weren't awarded, those bids should open next week on the 26th. I think is when we're anticipating those. In addition, we bundled what we do know about the FF&E packages that were awarded, the vendors and the contractual delivery times and what items go where. And we've started to transmit that over to the move management team so they can coordinate with O&G. With regards to the 1928 building, you know, as O&G has their hands full with the building construction of the main building, we've started to return our attention over to the site. So we look to reissue the end of this week the tennis court rebid package to go back out into the marketplace. We're going to issue a final document of all of the tweaks to the design to accommodate the 1928 design. So we've got, with our final approvals, now we got final grading and everything that we can coordinate with. So it will stitch seamlessly together. We've returned to look at traffic, both near term for that fall semester when, you know, you have the maximum amount of stuff on the site, being the new building and the existing building and all the students. And as well as a projected traffic to make sure that we are keeping control of the queuing path. We'll be coordinating that with the working group. And we're trying to wrap up the rework of the Monteith intersection. Any questions?
Okay, thanks, Michael. We'll go to construction manager report.
Thank you, Meg. I'll be quick, just, application for payment and PCOs, we'll go through those later on. High school, we're working with TSKP, on, there's still RFIs, that'll still continue. We're starting to close out submittals, for the high school. We're coordinating that with Arcadis. Construction overall on the high school is roughly 73%, site work 50%, and commissioning 29%. Our CM contingency, we're at around 88% on the high school, and funds available, and still 100% funds available. Central office, both are healthy at this stage of the project. In general, Michael mentioned the skylights. Skylights are in progress. The frames are in. By the end of this week, early next week, the glass will be in, and then there will be light. Millwork doors, hardware progressing throughout. The linoleum flooring in building A is in full progress, and it's progressing into other areas. MEP work in the kitchen and locker room areas continues. The RTUs, for the most part, are set. We still have a few remaining units that'll show up in mid-April. Auditorium, is in full progress, mid-level. Site work restarted with granite curbing, and they're currently grading the loading dock area. For that, they'll start placing sidewalks next week. Building A and B is temporary powered. We did get good news from Eversource. They do have the transformer in hand, so we're expecting that next month of April. We're working with Arcadis with move management. We've been having bi-weekly meetings. We had a meeting last week with Myers, giving them the sequence of demolition, and also the start of the punch list of the high school as well, working with Arcadis on that. Area F central office renovation, we're wrapping up the submittals with TSKP, planning summer work and management as well, so that our demolition follows the moving out of these spaces. And as you could see, this is one space with a lot of books, and so there's a lot of coordination involved with that. 1928 project, we're coordinating our summer work as well with the move management. Tennis court, Laurel Purcell, she's putting that bid package out in coordination with TSKP. We're still doing our bi-weekly tours. This Friday is one of those for staff, and it's at 2:30 for anybody that wants to show up. And finally, O&G builds, we're wrapping that up as well. March 22nd, which is this Friday, we have Westwood students. They'll be there in the morning. April 1st, we're gonna discuss construction management careers, what we do. April 2nd, we have 2 students that will be job shadowing us. It's actually a job meeting day, so they'll meet all the partners that we have in this room, the design team. And our final session will be May 6th, and that will wrap up with possibly the civil engineering and landscaping careers. If there's any questions on what I just went over.
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll go right to project manager report.
Sure, thank you. As Nelson alluded to, we have completed our Eversource easy document, which was a hurdle and a half to get through. We got started that back in November, December, in that time frame, and we just got completion last week. Nelson, we get the email. So that was finally done. We had the attorneys involved, we surveyed, combined plans from SLR and Rick Precision. Had our surveyor go through and it's easy, so that's all done. We did a big jump. Change orders, we have 5 minor change orders this month. Things are going really well with that as far as costs go. We're still under 1% of the project cost for change orders. For the high school central office, that one change order is still being vetted out. It's getting near completion. I'd say next couple of weeks, we should be at a solid number on that change order. Doing very well financially. And I'll get into the change orders when we come to that.
If you remember, but had kind of gave us a little preview on the one for the central office.
Exactly.
So
Last meeting.
yeah, more information on how many. Keep that up a little bit. Any questions for us? Okay, great. All right, Chris, owner's rep, manager report.
For the high school, been on site, several times a week, performing above ceiling inspections, and punch listing there, working with O&G staff on, getting anything corrected. So that's moving forward. That's been in A 1, 2, and 3, as well as D 1, 2, and 3. Preliminary looked at C, but nothing issued as of yet there. Working on below ceiling where we can, looking at those things and trying to give a heads up on some of the punch list items that'll be there. So we get ahead of that. In terms of mood management, as Nelson alluded to, there's been several meetings, move management meetings and coordinating move out of this building over into the next, as well as what's going to be coming forward for new furniture coming in. Making sure that those spaces are available, if not, where we're going to be storing those. We have had several meetings on that. And what will be coming up, obviously, is the buyer's packet, proposal for approval. And, one thing I did fail to mention was I've been also reviewing the schedule of the high school, so maybe no progress to be in that there.
Any questions for Chris on that? The G2 that Chris was referring to, the Myers contract that we're talking about. We will then move on to communications subcommittee report. We did not have our subcommunications meeting before this meeting today, so for right now we have some other areas of focus, but I know we need to get back on our schedule to start talking about the ribbon cutting. And start really moving forward on that. So that would be our next course of action there. But we continue to do updates on the website and all the standard communication. Obviously, our newsletters, we pace those a little more slowly based on the overall project. So I think we're in good shape from a communications perspective. Nothing from professional partnership subcommittee. We have not met recently, so no report there. Financial subcommittee, really just, you've heard a couple of people reference, we did have a meeting last Friday to review all the information that we have in front of us. So just a reminder that all of that information is vetted before it even comes to this subcommittee, but we spent a lot of time obviously walking through overall financials, all the reports that you guys have in front of you, as well as any outstanding invoices or changes that we'll review tonight. So everything you see for the building committee to consider tonight has been discussed and reviewed by the financial subcommittee as well. I think there's anything else for that, other than the couple of agenda items that we've added tonight coming out of that meeting that we'll get to. Financial report, Kat, we get that.
Yep, there's an updated financial report at everybody's place. This is for our committee account. The only update was just the invoice from Tall Timbers Marketing for $4,600 that was approved at last month's meeting. This just brings total on hand for this committee account at $50,749.30. So still plenty of money in there. We really only use that for, our marketing. I think we'll tap into that for some other ribbon cutting stuff. And just, miscellaneous things for the committee.
Any questions on that? Right, excellent. That finishes out our reports for tonight, so we'll move right on to business. Can I have a motion to define the invoice packet for Farmington High School?
Second.
All right, we'll open this up for discussion.
Okay, so the first invoice in your package is TSKP Studios invoice. This is for professional services rendered through February 29th, 2024. It's your typical monthly invoice and some work related to some of the amendments that we've done or the add. It looks like some work on food service and the site revision for the 1928 building that was hot and heavy, moving up towards the TPE meeting that occurred last week. So the total amount for this invoice is $67,039.50.
Any questions?
All right, next I'll pass to Nelson for O&Gs.
So our final reviewed payment application is for $4,186,59.04. The pencil copy originally was $4,962,758.71. I was fully reviewed with the professional partners and then at the sub-finance committee. Primarily what was adjusted was the RTU, which is the rooftop units. They were expected to be at the end of February. They landed in March. So that billing will catch up in April. That was the major adjustment, so recommend approval for the $4,186,59.04.
Nothing on that. All right,
All right, the next, two on the agenda are from INTL, this is for materials testing. These invoices were sent to O&G to confirm that, you know, they signed in when they said they signed in, the reports were received. Those have all been vetted and checked out, and it's recommended for payment, so there's two, one for $460 and one for $450. All right, the next one is IES. This is our commissioning agent. Just like INTL, O&G reviews the invoices, make sure that what they're billing for aligns with the work that's being completed. And this one is recommended for payment in the amount of $3,092.88. 92. So the invoice should be 3092.88. Good thing we read these out loud.
so we'll just make,
We'll make it.
when we go to vote, we'll just say the. And then- Project manager,
Yep, this is Russ's monthly invoice. This is the amount of $6,325.47, backed up by the timesheets for the hours performed, for last month's work. Questions? The next one on the agenda is for Arcadis. This is for their professional services through February. It shows the total amount billed for each of the categories that they're providing services for. And this is in the amount of $16,302.50.
questions? Right. We're into change.
All right, so the first change order that we have is PCO 94. Michael, you wanna lead us through these ones?
Yep.
Or
Yeah.
Russ?
I can do it if you'd like, or do you want to tag team?
Well, yeah, thanks, sir. So, PCO 94 is to get, key punch and key blank for the school. And Sam's gonna wear them around his waist. But this is to provide keys as needed, and we have to make their own keys throughout when it has coming up throughout the course of the life of the building. And that was for $6,719. PCO 95, modifications for the teaching walls at areas D and E. This is similar to what we've seen before in a couple change orders with the FF&E coordination and the data drops and power drops, so making sure everything works with the furniture as it's coming in. And that was for $6,886. PCO 106 is for revisions to the weight room flooring. This had a lot of deliberation. This is to provide a thicker mat under the units, the actual the weightlifting units and workout equipment, to provide a thicker mat underneath those so you don't have any variation and it'll stay, last longer. We went over it with Matt Martorelli, the AD, as well. So in this change order is recommended for $6,099. And PCO 107 is the ceiling mounted blackout curtain. This is we changed the inadvertently committed the detail and the scope, but wasn't in the bid. So we have to have the curtains required for a change order of $5,089.
It's coming out of our
And
RCM
I was
contingency.
just gonna say, that one's coming out of CM contingency. The last change order, PCO 110, is an overhead door stop, hardware change, and it's for materials only. The original spec had the closer, wouldn't fit with the aluminum doors, and this is for the upgrade for the materials to make sure it works. And that's for $1,507. That's the last one.
Good job.
No, no.
Thank you, Michael.
Any questions on any of those? Any detail required? Okay, right, so, we are going to vote, on the motion on the table with a slight adjustment to the dollar amount for invoice number 18682 that as listed on the agenda. So just that agenda correction is to $3,092.88. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, motion passes. All right, we'll move right on to item G2. So could I have a motion to award a contract to William Bean Inc. for move services in the amount of $177,000. It's a lot of sevens, it's throwing me off after all the sixes, and I'm like, $177,721. I got it. Under state contract 14 ESX 0161.
Motion. Second.
Yeah.
All right, so at the last meeting, we authorized Arcadis to solicit a proposal from Meyer off of the state contract. That proposal is attached. It's a not to exceed proposal in the amount that Meg said. I'm not gonna even try to try to say it.
Everybody out there.
We originally, this is just to note that we originally had $87,000 budgeted for move services, so this is a little bit more. I think it's due to the timing and the number of people needed to complete this. It's a very large undertaking in a short amount of time. So the delta, the $90,721 would come out of contingency to cover this cost. The proposal's been reviewed by Arcadis, it's been reviewed by Sam, Russ, myself, the finance subcommittee as well. And we recommend that, this proposal is accepted to move forward and get them going because they need to be in there beginning of June, mid-June to get going. So time is of the essence.
All right, we'll open this up for any questions or further discussion. Anybody require any further clarification on this one? Obviously, the piece that we're paying the closest attention to is that additional $90,000 and kind of the difference in understanding that is part of the approval here, but obviously something that's very necessary to move forward on right now. No other questions?
One thing I'll mention is that we've been working extensively with Tom Beatty, and going back and forth. This is gonna be, one of the make or break parts of the project. Doing the footings and the building is easy compared to this, in my opinion. This is gonna take a lot of effort. It's, I can't say how necessary it is, but the coordination of it to make sure that we get this section done, the cafeteria done, and ready so we can demo to get Parkland started construction, along with the rest of the building to get moved out and get staged either into the new high school or into the old gym or the auditorium. It's critical to the project. So, just can't say enough of how important this is.
Good context, just in the conversations we're moving forward.
Right.
All right, no other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you, everybody. So we'll move right on to item G3. Could I have a motion to award FF&E category J custodial equipment to Hilliard in the amount of $31,115.57 for Farmington High School and state project number 052-0076N.
Motion.
Second.
So this is one of the remaining items for FF&E that we had to bid separately. It wasn't included in the initial bid package that went out. The bid was posted on January 27th and bids were opened on February 15th. 7 bids were received and Sam reviewed the qualifications against the scope to make sure we would be getting what we paid for. As a result, 3 vendors submitted the specified products or acceptable substitutes for those products, and of those, Hilliard is the lowest qualified bidder. So it's recommended that the building committee award this contract to Hilliard. And the bid tabulation from the opening is on the other page.
Any additional questions from anyone? Good. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, so that is all we have on the agenda for new business, so we're gonna move right on to an H other business. So item H1, we will open up for discussion, FF&E update, so we'll have that to you.
So just a general update about FF&E, we just did the custodial equipment, we still have, I think Michael mentioned it, 3 items that are out for bid right now, those should be opening on the 26th, and we hope to have those awarded at the April meeting, so that should complete the FF&E, package. Technology, we're still waiting probably for April for a few of those items that we were going to go off the state contract. We were waiting because they were updating the system or network or whatever we wanted. We want the latest and greatest of it. So we were holding to go off the state contract for those. So still a few remaining items for both FF&E and technology that should be coming in the next month or so. One thing that we wanted to bring forward to the committee is related to one of the contracts that we awarded. This is for Interscape. They have 3 packages. They have the lounge furniture, they have the administrative furniture, and the instrument furniture. Roughly costing about $850,000 worth of furniture. They approached the town looking for a 50% down payment, and we're bringing this because that's a little bit out of the norm for what we've been doing for these contracts. So they were looking for a consensus from the committee to proceed with a 50% down payment. We vetted this with the finance director, Russ and I have talked about it. Also the finance subcommittee. And that, yes, they're a local Farmington based company. And we're recommending that we do it only because time, like I said, is of the essence. I feel like they need the 50% down for their manufacturers to source the products, and we need furniture delivered on time for this project. So just looking for consensus from the committee to move forward with allowing them for 50% down. In the bonds, yeah. So another thing that's kind of delayed with them is the payment of their performance bond. They did not factor that into their proposal that they gave us. They have been able to get the bonds. But they are asking that we cover the cost of that, and the finance committee, when we vetted it with them, agreed, but said if they are not able to provide on time, they would cover the cost of that. So it's a difficult situation for us. 1, they're a local company. 2, we don't really have a lot of time to explore other options or to go in a different direction. So I feel like we, as the committee, need to just move forward and get this furniture here on time. So just thoughts, opening it up to the committee.
You just said you talked to Joe, I mean, Joe's good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So. Choose my words carefully here. So none of this was discussed ahead of time. Does the bond number? I know we don't have a choice, but it would make me feel better if when these all went out to bid and we picked them off of the bid list, would that have changed the decision? Would that number have made a difference?
So the number they're looking for us to cover for that is roughly $10,000.
So it's small.
It's relatively small for that. I don't know what the spread was between them and the next highest bidder. I don't have that in front of me, but for $10,000, I don't know.
And if I understand correctly, then that performance bond that they're putting in, if they don't, they're gonna cover it if they don't perform.
I think,
Which is worst case for us anyways.
right.
We don't want that scenario.
Right.
All right.
On rock and granite.
Yeah.
And we're between
Yes.
I feel like I need to get in the school construction business.
School furniture business.
True, I rephrase. All right, that's it. Or light fixtures. It's one of those two.
I want to make sure anybody online, if you have any questions, that we make sure we get your thoughts or input on this.
I just have a quick question, and we don't have any concerns about their ability to perform based on these issues now? Or do we still feel like they're going to be able to fulfill the orders?
That's, our understanding is they'll be able to fulfill the orders, and that's top of mind, because that's the most important thing, that they're able to deliver these items on time. So, they've assured us of that at this point, and we would only move forward so long as we're getting the items we're paying for, especially if we're paying 50% upfront.
And they're asking for that because they're being
Correct.
asked of it. It's
Correct.
not, you know, not again, none of this is exactly the situation we want to be in, but it's not like that arbitrary ask from their perspective, is how I understand this.
Correct. They're being asked.
For that down payment, yes.
Okay.
Interesting, I mean, rocket projects,
Yeah.
you can't pivot in another direction.
No, there really isn't.
We can't,
I don't think we have the time.
we don't have time.
And they're a local company,
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
You know,
we want to work with them.
Yeah.
wanna work with them.
I think Michael Smith had mentioned he had worked with them before and had
No
good luck
problem. Yeah.
They're
overall.
on any school
Yeah.
furniture.
They should have set something up front.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, if they're needed that kind of payment stuff.
Mhm.
They've been around for a while, they should have known what their situation was, or who their vendors are, who are requiring it.
That's right.
So the other half doesn't go in until all the furniture is
Right,
100% in
and then,
place.
Yeah, and that's a $400,000 hammer, so it's not like. we're just
Yeah,
gonna
no, I
Yeah.
run away from you. Yeah.
Right, not necessarily, not a vote required,
No,
but we just wanted to make sure, since it was something different than our normal process, that everybody was understood and knew why we were moving forward or recommending that we move forward as such. Okay,
It's just, if it helps, I looked at the bid tab, it looks like they were the only bidder on 2 of the categories that they bid on as well, so that kind of answers the question you were asked before. But we did run into some of those problems with the bonding issue with some of the technology companies, because it's not a normal kind of part of the scope for furniture technology when they're providing a product. So that's not uncommon that somebody wouldn't have been familiar with that in this case.
Right. And I will just say, just quick kudos to our finance department, who's been working with all of these vendors, doing the purchase orders, collecting the bonds. You know, it's been a pretty big undertaking for all of these awards, so they've been on top of it and trying to make sure that, you know, we're meeting our deadlines, people are giving them what they need and chasing the people down, so they've been doing a great job.
all right, so without hearing any major concerns, it sounds like we have a consensus that we're willing to move forward with the recommendation. Okay, that works for me, okay. All right, so we'll go right on to H2, potential change orders, so Russ.
all right, so, as you know, we talk change orders weekly and daily. Overall goal is to end up with the biggest savings that we can. That said, the bleachers, the existing bleachers at the turf field, they've been on our radar for probably about 10 years. ADA, they're not ADA accessible, as we have a portion of the project to provide that skywalk coming off the driveway in the back to be at the field, to get access to the press box. I had priced them out probably 10 years ago to be for about $500,000-600,000 for replacement. And it's a big undertaking. At this point in the project, given that Nelson said 88% complete with the project, it's a good time to really take a look at this and look for approval to pursue pricing to replace the bleachers, make them fully ADA compliant, replace the press box as well, get that, so that'll be ADA compliant. remove the and the plan is to expand the bleachers as they currently are and remove the visitor side bleachers to create one full set of bleachers on the west side of the turf field. Could sit here and say it's, you know, an exact dollar amount, no, but I'm gonna be confident it's gonna be $1 million or so would be the cost. So that would be one big change order for the project. As I stated before, we are still at this point, we're gonna end up being about 1%, so about $1 million for change orders over the overall cost of the project. Adding this in, I don't foresee a financial issue. The other issue that comes into play that we would potentially get 15% reimbursement back on this item in change order. So by putting it into the project, we would get some reimbursement. If we were to continue to carry it in our CIP or capital improvement program, we would most likely end up budgeting it over a 4 or 5 year period. In about 4 or 5 years to start banking money towards it. And we're still not ADA compliant. And who knows at what point in time, if it was a best laid plan and it was concrete, would that money be enough? At what cost is it going to be in 10 years from now to replace the bleachers? So that's why I'm bringing it up now as a potential for the committee. I'm requesting to at least pursue the pricing avenue of it. We would have to give them a pay, Tyson Kim and the design professional some fee to get some design documents developed so that we could actually give a potential change order. Go ahead.
So the bleachers, the visitor bleachers on the east side would come out.
Correct.
There was a conflict there with the grading.
There's still a conflict.
There's a conflict there already that hasn't been dealt with at this point.
We've been talking about that too. We're gonna look at that. Now that bleachers on site again, we're gonna open up, remove the chain link fence to give us a better view, get some survey done and make sure what we can end up with for a slope or some kind of retaining wall. Because it is a severe angle in a short period of distance. So, and we're looking at keeping a walkway through there as access, or to keep, as people walk through. We talked about it with the last meeting or the meeting before about sidewalk and access. Now that the 28 building is going to become the town hall, neighborhood people walk through, where they walk to the town hall, pay their taxes, come in and tell us what a good job we're doing.
I do that all the time.
I do. No one from Long Ridge Court though. But it is. That's what doesn't come very often either. But people are gonna be walking down the campus. The access way is gonna be around those the current is visitor bleachers. Once you come by the high school, the new high school, you'll come up and around and hug towards the field and then walk over sidewalk through the parking lot to get to the 28th building. So that will still, the access way will still remain there. I think I struggle with doing this, for dollar wise, but then overall it makes sense based upon where we are with change orders. If we weren't so well positioned at this point, I wouldn't have brought it up. But being given that where we are at this point in time and the reimbursement factor that could come into play and the timing of it when we would have to budget it through the capital improvement program. Here at 8 years, 10 years, I mean, our capital improvement budget total is what? Every year? Yeah, it's $1 million. So to take a quarter of that and gear it for 4 or 5 years towards this one item takes a lot of items away from our capital improvement program.
So at this point, our only exposure would be getting the designs done, right?
Correct.
So, and then those designs, even if for some reason the cost just escalated beyond what we're comfortable with, wouldn't go to waste. Those designs would be there for any future date that we would do it.
Right.
So I'm definitely comfortable with doing that. And then for context, we had what, like 3.2 in contingency? We started the project for.
6 points.
For the high school?
Yeah, for the high school.
6.
And we're $1 million into that?
Yeah, we have $5,118,000.19.
Alright, so it's 6.2, we've been about $1 million of that to go spend some short money to get this design and find out what we can do. Let's say it doesn't work going down the road. You try to do this project after the fact. Now 1928 is done, everything is done. Are you spending, forget the inflation and the cost escalation, but just the site work needed to get in there would be more as well, right? Yeah, I mean, I don't see an issue with investigating it at this point. I mean, we're nowhere near the decision of making, like, we should go forward, but
Right.
I do think we do the due diligence of getting it designed, so at least we could adequately price it,
I
for
agree.
sure.
Thank you.
If you're looking at your crystal ball for us, or Nelson, I mean, with other items that could pop, I mean, we feel really confident, right, that we're in a good position in the contingency, I mean, you know, just based on your experience.
Yeah.
So it'd be a good time to maybe slide it in.
Listen, it's a very good time to
Yeah.
have. I think the biggest change order that we're looking at right now is the 900 wing.
Which doesn't, isn't even, they have,
That's exactly.
Yeah.
That's what
yeah,
I wasn't done.
I apologize.
Oh, that's done by itself,
Yeah.
but the other biggest change order that I foresee coming is the bottom of Route 4 with the DOT permitting requirements, with the pet crossing.
Yeah.
And the associated, the pedestrian crossing, we gotta put this. Head.
You hear a crossing moose.
And bears.
There's,
But no, that's gonna be our next largest one. I don't foresee any other real large ones. There's a couple of work that we're working on now that aren't, you know, substantial by any means, but I just think it's the right time to take a look at it, given this, where we are in the point of the project.
and then Sarah, you guys just went through budget season. I know last year with the reval, we literally cut almost all of it, capital improvements out of it, just to try to minimize the tax implication. So everybody remembers last year, there was a huge shift between commercial and residential. So without spending an extra penny, it was like a 12 to 15% tax. So we really went bare bones last year. So Sarah probably knows how hard it is to get that money back on the following one. It's not something that's that straightforward, so. $1 million is not that easy to find on the capital improvement side.
Yeah, I would say it's gonna take us a while to build that back, I would think, and I think this sounds like a good idea to me based on everything you're saying.
And I think we have a good argument for the reimbursement with the state. In our ed specs, it does have outdoor athletic facilities for ADA repairs. So, I mean, I think it's a good argument that we have to make sure we get that 15%.
For like 4 years, I heard about this NEAS report. Just bring that back up.
Yeah.
Scott. I mean, everyone who was on this committee during the competition pre-referendum knows how we struggled with this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's one.
Because,
yeah.
you know that all new grandstands or to make the grandstands fully ADA compliant was gonna involve a significant redo. So the building committee wisely chose a very narrow interpretation of what was needed to satisfy the NEAS reports. We have that boardwalk out to the press office. We have fortified stone dust down on the ground plane, which provides accessible seating for disabled people, but is not really equivalent seating. And so, since you have perhaps some additional capital, it's a good way not only to meet the intent, the letter of the NEAS report, but to meet the intent of it. Provide something that's gonna hold up as long as the new campus that you're constructing at the same time.
And then on top of that, we have, in our short-term capital projects coming up, we're gonna need to replace the turf itself and the track. So there's 2 more large cost items that are gonna be coming up in the very near future for capital improvement. Just one more thing to add on to the whole big picture for the campus.
That's for Sarah to solve next year, right?
Yeah, so next step is we would receive a design fee proposal from TSKP. We'll have the decision-making group vet it, we'll bring it to finance subcommittee, and we'll bring it to the full committee. If we decide to move forward with it, then we would receive pricing, correct? Because we can't get the pricing until we get the design.
Correct.
Yes, it's.
So,
You
if it-
you
there's
may
like-
have heard this verse
We've done
before,
this
but
before.
we need to draw it well enough that you can at least get a price on it, so then we could execute it as a PR. I mean, the grandstands themselves are largely gonna be a delegated design, there's vendors that provide it, but we've already started assembling some, or at least letting the larger design team members know that we will need some additional proposals from them. And I've asked for it in 2 tiers, one just to do the study, get the rough order of magnitude, and then 2, if we need to support it with final documentation.
So I'm just stating that to let everybody know, we're not approving any dollars to be spent at the moment. We'll know exactly what that dollar amount will be to get the design. And then make a decision from there as to what our next steps might be. And that will obviously be a much more robust discussion to move forward. Does that make sense? Any other questions for Russ on that one in particular?
Next item, got a list. We have an existing greenhouse in the 500 wing that special needs primarily use. And I talked with Scott Hurwitz about it and Sam about relocating it. That as well as an auto shop shed that's out in the back parking lot. That's about 16 by 20. We'd like to relocate that over to the backside by where the auto shop doors are. So they can reuse that and continue to use it. The greenhouse is small in size. Scott, what do you think that is? About 10 by 10, 10 by 15?
Yeah, probably, rectangular about that. It's not, it was a kit as well that was put together. I know it was, I think it was funded by the Ed Foundation at the time, but no bigger than that. It's a small size greenhouse that sits in the courtyard at the current high school.
But it's an integral part of the whole, population. So just as a, let you know, it's going to be coming. We want to do it as a change order to the contract to relocate these 2 items. I talked about this before. The other thing we're gonna need to do, we're gonna ask for a proposal with the demolition starting. Atlas ATC Associates did the preliminary, did the abatement study in 2017 that was incorporated into the project. We're gonna ask them for a proposal to do monitoring of the abatement to make sure that we're in compliance with all our environmental testing and handling and storage and disposal. So that's going to be forthcoming for design. We have that money and
There's a consultant line item that we feel.
in the budget that will cover this cost already. Just want to put that out there. It'll be off the state contract, so we don't have to go to bid. We don't have to ask to go to RFP. We can just go and use it right off the state bid. So we're in good shape there, but that'll be a sizable issue, but it's already covered in our line item, so we're good. Doesn't need to be coming out of new construction money. I just want to let the committee know about that as well. Anything else?
You've been all.
The time's done anyway.
No, that's it. Oh, yeah.
Any questions? Obviously, more to come. I just think it's always good for us to kind of have things kind of laid out in front of us, things that we're going to have to anticipate having conversations on. So Russ, thank you for putting this together for us.
One thing I think I mentioned, but we talked, I know I got it. We talked about this through the financial subcommittee as well.
Yes, we did.
So this was all discussed at that with them as well, so it's not like this is the first time. It's the first time for the full committee, but it was discussed in the financial subcommittee. It's my comment.
Keep it tally. All right, any other questions or thoughts on that right now? Hopefully be our last time talking about it. So.
Do we get to tour the school one more last time as a building committee? before it's completed or?
Ribbon cutting soon.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Just curious.
What's the recommendation from you?
What,
Should we wait for the skylights?
I
Or,
would.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's.
but your next meeting will have
Maybe
the cafeteria.
The second.
I'd get all the skylights. I'd get that long concourse up and running. Really make that, really make it see.
Make it shine.
Yeah, man.
And
You got your marching orders.
See
Well, I
what.
mean, I heard earlier you was gonna have all the skylights in by the end of
Just-
the week.
That's what Monday, the latest.
cafeteria, not all of them. Choose my word.
That can check the record.
Hit the wrong.
Right.
But yeah, May timeframe is probably,
The May
Perfect.
timeframe is
May,
probably better.
and now we have daylight.
We'll be looking at the
Your
15th,
evening
yes, that'd be the
days
May
get one.
15th.
the May 15th meeting, so kind of pencil that in, as a potential, so again, we would meet over, probably still have our meeting over in the trailer as well, after that one, and do the tour, that'd be great. Ambitions to put another one in too,
One's good.
let's do another one, making sure. Do we also want to mention possibly the first, what we might need to do that meeting in April too?
Yeah, so we are keeping on the calendar the April 3rd meeting. We typically have been canceling the first meeting of the month. That's just in the event the bids come in for the remaining FF&E items. We're hopeful that we can get those vetted, and if so, have the meeting to give the go-ahead on those items in April, beginning of April, so we don't have to wait to the middle of the month. So keep your eyes out for if that meeting is necessary. If it's just that on the agenda, I think it'd be another virtual one, if it's just one item. But we'll let you know soon after the bids are opened next Tuesday. Yeah, next Tuesday.
Okay, any other questions or thoughts? No, all right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourn at 6:01.